Maybe we are.
Ooh.
All right, I'm
Yes,
showing live video on all of mine.
I believe we are. I think mine just kicked in too on my YouTube. I think it worked. Look at us.
Okay.
We're
Who would
absolute
have thought?
geniuses. Oh, I'm live on
I'm live
mine
too.
too. This is perfect. This is
Okay. All right. Good, good, good.
oh
Why could
bingo.
this
Oh.
not work? I don't know what it means complete. I don't want to do that. Okay. Why could I not? I'm trying to make it go live on Facebook, but I can't make it work. But I guess YouTube and Rumble are working, so
Facebook's
that's a good thing.
hello everybody in my YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are watching on like crazy bandwidth. So just a heads up, if this is a really bad quality on my YouTube, I apologize. And go to Jared Wright's YouTube. I put it, if you guys are tuning in, you can watch it on his. It should probably be better quality. But
Yeah, we should be live. I'm showing that I'm live across YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook right now. So prayers
save
up.
mine. We should be live. Everything should be good. Everybody's saying I'm live. So
Okay, perfect. Sweet, man. Well, welcome in. Ethan, dude, I ain't talked to you in like, at least not live in like months. I was probably like 1 million followers
been a
ago.
long time. We've had a lot going on besides this. It's been chaos going on.
Yeah,
But
you've had a fun
yeah.
couple of months. You basically got banned everywhere and then made the greatest comeback since Jesus, is what I've heard. In like, what, 3 days, you gained 100,000 followers? I mean,
Yeah, on X, I was able to bounce back. Went from a banned account at 20K to 115K. Had 3 TikToks banned, $6,000 that they did not pay out to me, so that was always fun. A YouTube account wasn't that they refused to monetize, they disqualified it. Learn that decision tomorrow. What else? I mean, this is besides that, everything is running up to speed. You got to be real careful with Instagram. They've been striking down. They've been striking down accounts. Yeah, I just got your Rumble notification. You were
perfect.
live.
okay.
So
Sweet. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I woke up the other day with like 4 strikes on my Instagram. So I'm not live on Instagram anymore. Yeah, it was instant, back to back to back to back, and no more live capabilities, no more collaborator post capabilities. They like fully restricted the account, so that sucked. Yeah, I guess we're getting cracked down on now. I guess we said too much finally. I don't know.
yeah, I try to avoid saying anything up with the J word. That's where they're really striking people down. Or they've struck down a lot of accounts. Definitely with this Iran war going on. If you try to bring up anything biblical or religious, they're really cracking it down hard. The only accounts, socials that we have free right now is X, and people give YouTube a lot of hell, but YouTube, they post a lot of things, a lot of bigger accounts. Like, I mean, the stuff that's going on, like on Piers Morgan's show, is questioning a lot. He had a show today where they got biblical, talked about Jews, and it's hundreds of thousands of views. So I'm like, they're so self-conscious with it about what they allow and what they don't allow. Because if you're big enough and they allow it, then it just proves that they're just suppressing everybody that doesn't have a big enough voice to fight back, essentially. And your Instagram, yeah, that's nuts. You got to steer away from the religious stuff right now. You're tiptoeing in hot water. Zuckerberg doesn't like that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if you're wondering, his last name does end in Berg, so that should be a dead giveaway, I guess.
Yes.
On how everything's
Yes.
going. And it's funny. It's there's a lot of people that's been canceled that I've talked to. I've talked to, I think Reese Saviors at least a little bit. Lion for Christ. He's had his account almost taken down several times. Kenny KO. He's had his account taken down all the time, like every account he makes instantly. And so I've talked to those guys, and I'm like, what steps would y'all recommend? Y'all been through this,
I think we just have to, for the sake of our Instagram accounts. I don't really talk religion at all. If you can scroll through my Instagram, I avoid religion entirely. I call them IDF terrorists and IDF invaders and occupiers, but I try to keep religion fully out of it. And I've never had anybody press me for that. Like, why don't you say Jew, this, that? Because we have to be conscious. And I think just shouting at the moon, we talked about this before we went live. I think just shouting at the moon, Jews, Jew this, Jew that. I'm trying to be careful on YouTube, and you might be on Facebook. But we have to be careful with the religious name calling, to be honest, just for the sake of us. because that's how they get you. And do I want our accounts banned just because we made one video knowing that it's going to cause a problem? In the long term, we have to sacrifice saying some controversial things in order to get the bigger message out, because we're not going to be able to flip America by making this a fully religious war from the start. It makes us look a little too extremist, I think. You got to plant the seeds. That's what we got to do.
Yeah, man, I agree. And I mean, dude, you've been hammering down when it comes to this war. I mean, you're my number one news source. I'm on Telegram constantly. I get that little ding coming on my Telegram. Okay, what do you think I have to say now? What video am I watching? I mean, you've gained a lot of people on your Telegram too for breaking news and everything else. I mean, would you consider that like almost like your primary platform now? You seem to be on there more than anything else.
I am on Telegram a lot. Telegram is good to be able to shoot out really quick sources, really quick videos, and you just can't get banned on Telegram. So a lot of videos, I'm in a lot of Telegram channels with a bunch of groups in the Middle East out of Lebanon and stuff. So you join those channels, you get the videos from them, you can slap it. But Telegram is really good, and I advise everybody you have to get involved with Telegram. You have to join Telegram channels, because that's how the quickest stuff gets out. Or X is really good, but everything's originating out of Telegram, and I've had to dial back a little bit on Instagram. TikTok is just tiptoeing. You have to tiptoe so hard on TikTok right now. I barely post. I post maybe once every other day, just because that platform's not even about religion. You don't have to bring up Muslims, Christians, Jews. That one is straight up. If you put Israel in the bad highlight or expose what they're doing, or God forbid call them Israeli terrorists, which is my favorite thing to do, video gets struck down. It gets struck down. It's just not even, they don't even give you a shot. And I've seen your TikTok account, and you had one that was pretty big. You had one that was growing. They struck it down, and I feel like they've stunted the growth on your new account, because I see a lot of times whenever you start Bible verses, you bring up religion or something, they'll stunt it, and it'll be like 23 views. It's very absurd the way they covertly try to suppress things into the algorithm. It's all automated.
That's what's crazy is how automated it all is. Like I've had videos. I saw a video. I thought the app glitched out. I had 0 views for like 4 hours, and I'm thinking, what? I just stopped posting on there now. Every now and then I post just something random or whatever, because it's just I just lost the passion for TikTok on that side of it. And once you grow an account pretty big, and you lose it, and then it's like your second one, they won't allow it to. Once Larry Ellison bought it, everything changed. I mean, we're in a period of time, and it's almost the best time and the worst time. It's the best time that we're all awake. It's the worst time in the sense of so are the social media companies to what we're doing, and so it's kind of a catch-22. If you can walk that line, which especially your Instagram you've done really well at, you can really find success. But it's hard to find that line between going too far, saying the J word, and doing those things, talking about religion too much, whatever it may be, and actually saying what needs to be said that people want to hear. Because ultimately what I found is the more that I post, the more people want to hear. They want to hear these things. They want to understand the truth, which is why I post. And I'm sure it's why you do too. It's like once you see what's happening in the world, it's like, man, this is disgusting. It's evil, and I don't want any part of it. I want to let other people see these things for what they are. And it's, I don't know, a rough world for us, I guess, as political commentators and breaking news.
I'm at a point to where I'm beyond disgusted, especially in the Middle East right now. It's a sense of helplessness, and I just can't even put it in the words of just disgust. And I try not to have hatred towards people, but I do have a hatred towards Israel and their way they're operating. I do. It is pure hatred. I always say this, and I feel like I just push this every time, but I've been to Lebanon. I've been to Lebanon twice, and I see these places that I was at, and these places are getting bombed. Like the streets I walked on in Beirut getting bombed. I get the alert on my phone about an evacuation order of a building I walked past in August or in January, and it's just, it's a building they claim it's like this is Hezbollah infrastructure, and it's like a shawarma shop. It's like a nail salon I've been in. There's nothing there. It's a residential building. They don't know what they're doing, and they're blowing up these random buildings. And the worst part is they do it because they know they can. They know that there's no repercussion. They know that they can just do it with impunity. There's no anti-aircraft missiles in Lebanon. There's nothing that can try to shoot down the jets effectively. And it's just now they want to ethnically cleanse. They want to destroy towns. They're doing it. They just bulldoze these ancient stone towns, stone villages that have been there. They're biblical. Lebanon is where Jesus performed his first miracle. It's in the south of Lebanon, and they're fighting over that right now. They're fighting on the lands where the disciples, where Jesus, where all of those biblical figures that everyone knows. And in every book, Old Testament, New Testament, in the Quran, it's everything. And they're desecrating, destroying, and the saddest part is there's bloodshed on this land in which, the Levant area, Lebanon and Israel, Palestine, this should be an area of, I've always thought, a demilitarized safe haven to where the idea that there's police beating up Palestinians in Jerusalem is just disgusting. That's a city that, it's historic for everybody on the world. All three major religions value it with utmost respect. And the way the Israelis treat the city is ungodly. It's unbiblical. And, I've seen real Jews. You've probably seen the videos of Jews that are speaking out against Israel, like pro-Palestinian Jews. And I look at that and I say, these are actual Old Testament mature Jews that are not wanting this bloodshed. Because though religion plays an extreme part in this, Zionism is a belief of those people. That's where it comes from. You can interpret things in multiple ways. Muslims can interpret the Quran in the way of extremism. Welcome to ISIS. They can interpret it in a normal way, and they just live their life following God. You have two directions to choose. And when it comes to those people, the Jays, they overwhelmingly look at the majorities in Israel that support what they're doing. It's 80% plus. Al Jazeera said it was about 86. I'll drop it for the sake of just hope. Around 80% of the Israelis approve of what they're doing, which is genocide, ethnic cleansing, bloodshed, starting wars. And they use a religious doctrine to do this, that it's promised to them that they have to do this to protect their race and their people. So overwhelmingly, those people, the Jays, they use religion in a path and they justify it in a way of interpretation. We read the Old Testament. I don't understand how there's any interpretation of what they're doing whatsoever. But it's Talmudic Judaism. And I'll let you talk in a minute. I'm rolling.
No,
but
you're good.
It's the Talmudic Judaism that people don't understand. Like, maybe if some Jews read it, maybe they don't read it. Maybe it's, we should be able to say Jew on stream. I'll say that without being negative. But Talmudic Judaism is followed by 95% of Jews. Whether they want to say they do or they don't, I don't believe this. If you wear a yarmulke, you wear a kippah, if you celebrate Hanukkah, it is in the Talmud. Hanukkah's in the Talmud. Wearing a kippah, the little thing on your hat, it's in the Talmud. So if these people follow any of that, then they do refer to the Talmud. They follow the traditions, and there are pro-Palestinian Jews that do follow the Talmud, but we can obviously see by the way they practice, and they're pro-Palestinian, and they hate Israel. They do interpret, pick and choose some things. But, if you bring up the Talmud, they say, well, have you read the full Talmud? And it's like, yeah, well, you obviously have, because your belief system on we're goy and that we don't matter is exactly what the Israelis are pushing. And they will use collateral damage of civilians because they simply don't value life. But I'll let you pick up on that. I've just been so upset about what's been happening. I'm losing my mind.
No, dude. I mean, you watch it, and I told somebody this the other day. I've seen more horrendous videos, on X or whatever, of children pulled from rubble and things like that. Of just, why are you doing this? And it's always at the hands of the same people. It's almost never coming from the other side. And if it ever has, it's almost positive it was an accident. Yeah, it's pure civilian warfare. And it's trying to get rid of an entire people group. It's trying to just wipe out a land. I've heard rumors that what's going to happen is once they wipe it all out, Trump and other, rich crypto Jew type people are going to come in and, build up a beachfront area type deal, massive condos and, resort area. I don't know whether that's true or not. It's rumored. Regardless, they're destroying all infrastructure and all life. especially within Palestine and Gaza, especially on Gaza. And now they're doing the same thing in Lebanon. And they've even said our war strategy is the same as we did with Hamas, those terrorists. We're going to do the same thing to Hezbollah. And it's like, what are you talking about? How do you even get away with this? It's like they're so blatantly obvious that people completely miss what they're saying sometimes, which is we're going to come in and completely get rid of a people group, completely destroy the land, completely destroy the people. We don't care if it's women. We don't care if it's children. We don't care how it's done. We saw firsthand what America's willing to do when it comes to Iran, 180 schoolgirls, just like that, first day. You talked about that quite a bit. It's truly disgusting to me, and I'm with you. It pisses me off. It pisses me off to see what's going on, and it makes me even more angry, especially here in the South. Pastors just, we have to bless Israel. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, do you not see what they're doing? I posted a video several weeks ago, Greg Locke, talking about turning the Gaza Strip into a parking lot and how he just wanted it to rain down on them. I'm thinking, dude, you're a pastor and you're calling for an absolute genocide of people, turning them into a parking lot because of a misinterpreted Bible verse that, you're really not living any Christian principles on, yet you call yourself a pastor. And that's one of the most evil things I can see. To me, it's the true biblical definition of witchcraft, or taking the Lord's name in vain, is, claiming to be a man of God and then turning around and doing things that are exactly opposite of that and using it for your own gain. And that seems to be the case with a lot of these pastors, a lot of these people worldwide, influencers, whoever they may be.
Yeah, Greg Locke, he's a clown. He's an idiot. The way they warp Judaism and the way that people warp Islam, I'm a believer that all religions fundamentally, the reason they're big, Buddhism, whatever, Taoism, Jainism, Hinduism, the reason they exist because it is a nice set of humanitarian laws that tell you how to live your life in a good way. But people like Greg Locke, they take Christianity and they use very weird verses, like with the covenants with Abraham. And he uses that to further his political agenda. He uses it, the worst part is to justify what they do. I'm going to equate this to when ISIS beheads Christians, like they did with the Coptics in Libya and in Egypt, they justify what they're doing with the Quran. The same thing as what these evangelicals, these Christian Zionists do. They use the Old Testament to justify, and the Israelis do it, to justify what they're doing in Gaza. You're using religion since it's religion, you have no other choice. There's no way to refute it, dispute it. They're not even have a conversation about it. It's the way they live. It's the way they believe. They fully believe this with their heart, that they have to do this. We have to turn Gaza to rubble. We have to destroy the West Bank. We have to destroy Lebanon, just because the Bible, the Old Testament, tells us that this is going to be the land for the Jewish people. And there's no conversation you can give. There's no children, civilians, women that are going to die that's going to change their mind, because they fully believe that this is a biblical prophecy. And it's the same thing. You have Muslims and ISIS that believe that they have to do this, and there's no changing their mind. You have these Christian Zionists that support Israel thinking that they have to do this. And obviously, some of the people in Israel, which follow the Old Testament and the Talmud, Ben Gavir, they fully believe that they have to do these things. The minister, Smoltrich, they have to. They have no other choice. They must do this because the Torah commands it, and you're not going to change their mind. They're a different religion than you. You don't even know what's going through their head. And the way they use it to justify what they're doing is how you know it's bad. Look, whenever we call out the deaths in Gaza, the war in Iran, the deaths in everywhere, I'm not using the Bible to justify my point. I'm not going, the Bible says you should, well, obviously it does, but I'm not saying the Bible says you shouldn't kill women and children in Gaza. It's a common sense morality thing. That if religion didn't exist, you look at it and go, killing women and children in Gaza, I think we should be against that. I don't have to use my religion to defend my point that what you're doing is wrong. They use religion to defend their point on what they're doing with the bombings and genocides, because they know deep down what they're doing is wrong. It's morally wrong, but they have to justify it with politics, with religion, with policy. The policy of Israel is no two-state solution. Therefore, they're going to suppress any Palestinian uprising in Gaza or the West Bank through violence. And their ideology behind no Palestinian state, is Judaism. Therefore, there's no negotiating, there's no middle ground. They will never give an inch to the Palestinians because they wholeheartedly believe this religiously, which my view on Palestine would be these people are oppressed. These people are slaughtered. They're killed. They can't work in Israel. They can't go down the street without a military checkpoint. I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong because everybody has the right to self-determination. There are people without a state that had a state that was taken away from them. They're occupied illegally under international law, the United Nations, multiple resolutions, Oslo Accords. Yasser Arafat signed it with Bill Clinton right there and the Israeli Prime Minister in the 90s and the 2000s. It's law that Palestine should exist. It's law that the Israelis should be out of Gaza, out of the West Bank, and there should be no checkpoints into Jerusalem. It's a city, East Jerusalem should be Palestinian, but it's not that way. And I'm not using a religion to justify that. I'm using international law, common sense, morality, and the self-determination of the Palestinians, just like the Argentinians have their country, just like the Australians have their country. I don't have to justify Australia's existence with the Torah. They have to justify Israel's oppression, genocidal existence with the Torah because there's no other way they can. They can't tell us that the Jews have to exist here. We have to have a homeland. Really? You're safe? I promise you. With the laws that we have going on in the U.S. right now, you're definitely right now you're safer in America than Tel Aviv. I can promise you that, or northern Israel with rockets raining down. Okay, and if they want to have Israel, I've kind of morphed my position on this. If the Jews want to have Israel, so be it. But we're going to have conditions. We're not going to live off of this. We have to oppress people and genocide people. You want a country? Cool. Demilitarize. Not going to have weapons because you can't protect yourself. You signed a peace deal with Egypt and Jordan. They haven't attacked you since. They hold up their word. Do you? The Israelis bombing Iran twice in the middle of negotiations, breaking 10,000 times the ceasefire in Lebanon, disobeying UN resolutions in southern Lebanon, disobeying UN resolutions in Gaza and the West Bank and the Golan Heights, further into Damascus. They actually occupied Mount Hermon, the highest point in the Levant, a few years ago when Bashar al-Assad fell. It's just illegal act after illegal act after illegal act for the defense of Israel because it's a biblical prophecy, apparently. And I just can't stand it at this point. You can't argue with these people. And with you were going with the Greg Locke, it's just he's just stupid. It's that. He's ignorant. He's closed-minded is the correct word. And those pastors, they're Christians. I just think they have a horrific belief on Israel. It's a wrong belief, but I don't discredit them as human beings and as Christians. Like Greg Locke, he lives his life probably in a good way, I'm assuming. And it is hard to get past that belief on Israel in which he has. That's where a lot of problems arise. Definitely in America right now with Christian Zionism. It's a shame.
Yeah, and I liked your point about, if Israel wants to exist, let's figure something out. Because this is honestly a talking point that a lot of people don't hit on, is the fact that, if there needs to be a country for, Jewish people to be in, let's let it happen with major stipulations and major overwatch. And like I said, selfishly, let's get them all into one country. You know what I mean? Like,
y'all go away.
Yeah, let's get y'all back over there.
They've shown they don't have the responsibility to. Does Israel have the right to exist? No. In the current state of Israel has not shown the responsibility to exist. We need reform. We need change. I don't care if the state is called Israel or Jewsville or Palestine. If we want one big Palestine, I don't care. We just have to stop the oppression and genocide. And the modern state of Israel does not need to exist. We want to change it a little bit. We want to revamp it. You can call it Israel. I don't care. But the way it is now, it's going to change. No military is the biggest part.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's got to be reformed. Call it whatever you want to. I don't care. Stop funding it, first and foremost. Stop giving special privileges to people from there, such as, I forgot what the guy's name, Tom Alexandrovich, who's essentially indicted on, a child sexting operation in Las Vegas, flies back, and now he's off scot-free. He gets to go back to Israel, dual citizenship type thing. I don't want any of that, and I'm not, I see a lot of these people saying America first, America only. I'm very close to that, but I'm not a full-on isolationist because there are instances where I do think it's good for us to step in. Prime example, what's happened in Gaza and in Palestine, what's currently happening in Lebanon. I wish we would step in against that for the general good of people. Now, for the most part, I think we need to worry about our own problems. We have a lot of problems here in the States, first and foremost, that need to be resolved before we start shipping out money and soldiers and everything else to go handle other people's problems. But there are major, just human rights violations that I think that it's okay if we go and try to fix these problems worldwide. After all, we are a superpower and things like that. And that's where I think that if we could, essentially set up the system, we would see something much better happen. But we're a controlled government. That's the issue. We're not going to ever be our own government, at least not for the next 20 years or so, I would say. Whenever, boomers stop voting and such on, we might see something happen. Because ultimately, the over 40 crowd, I posted something the other day about over 40 needs to wake up. And there's a lot of people like, well, I'm 43 and I'm woke up. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm happy you're here. I'm just speaking in generalities. It's like once you like the over 40 crowd, the over 50 crowd, into your 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s that are voting, they're voting in favor of who supports Israel. I mean, that's just what's been hammered into them. And I'm thankful under 40 has woken up. But it is hard to look out and say, man, we might be 20 years away from seeing anything happen. I mean, it's encouraging to see guys like Fishback down in Florida. I genuinely believe he's going to win this governor campaign. He seems to really be making strides down there. I hope he's not some sort of Trojan horse. I hope he's not some sort of psyop. I tend to try to give him the benefit of the doubt because within him, I see myself in a lot of ways where it's like, you know what? I was told these things and I believed them. And then I had a point where I went, oh, crap, none of this is true, and turned around and did a full 180. And so I like what he does down there. I like what he says. I mean, he's true. Why is the state of Florida giving any money to Israel? And I think they sent like nearly $300 million last year. It's like they're a state. That money should be held within the state and doing things within the state. And our nation shouldn't even be sending money to Israel, period, but let alone a state government, a state office position like that. And so I'm hoping that with the oncoming of guys like that, with guys like me, guys like yourself, guys like a lot of these guys we both talk to, Jake Shields has built up quite a good platform. There's a lot of people who are speaking out and waking up a lot of people. I'm hoping this is signaling that this is the official turning point, that we're going in the right direction. We're going to get there sooner than 20 years, but we just got to keep talking. And like we said, talking's the hard part right now because we get shut down pretty quick a lot of the times.
Yes, there was a moment ago, I don't want to go off topic, but there was a very strong strike. Now they're blowing up my chat about it. In Beirut right now. Apparently two high-ranking members of the Lebanese resistance were just taken out. I don't want to say it's the Secretary General. Somebody said it's Naim Awesome. It doesn't look like it's the leader. I'll say that, but it's people were blowing up the chat about it. I was looking at it, but yeah, they said somebody said 5 dead, 21 injuries. Ugh, my gosh. But
I mean, it's just living proof of what we just said.
Yeah,
exactly. What their strategy is going to be. They
right
don't
in the
care
suburbs.
Who they take out.
Yep, they had 2 targets, and they're going to take out multiple other people. So if you're just walking by, you could be walking your dog, stroller with children in it. They don't really care. And
it's the only nation that gets away with that. Nowhere else can you see
that does that.
If there's a school shooter, you don't blow up the school here in America. Obviously school shooters are a big problem. Yeah, you have processes to protect who's there and to go in and infiltrate and take down the shooter. But for whatever reason, this is the only state in the entire world that can just do whatever the heck they want. If there's one supposed terrorist, they can blow up 100 civilians and then run a double tap operation and try to kill 100,000 more if they wanted to. And all of a sudden it's okay because Hamas or because Hezbollah. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. I mean, how could it be any worse than that? And you wonder if these people. This is a moral question I've considered myself. Most people in their actions tend to always think they're right, no matter what they're doing. They don't do something thinking they're in the wrong. And it's hard for me to reason with myself that they see themselves doing these things, just killing innocent people, and actually saying, yes, I'm doing the right thing. And it's like you mentioned earlier when it comes to religion. They genuinely see this as this is my religion. This is what I'm commanded to do. I am fulfilling prophecy. I don't know how you can reason with yourself on the inside. You have to be mentally corrupted in some sense to be okay with, what is a civilian death ratio now? Did you say it's like 83% or something is civilian deaths?
In Gaza it was 86%. Right now in Lebanon, right now in the total war, it's well over 75%. So basically, three out of four people are civilians. And weirdly, I know that in both in Iran and Lebanon, there's been more children killed than women, which obviously both is horrific. But that's even a stat that is more children than women. It shouldn't be zero both ways. But the idea that children are not the most protected, they're not the least killed, they should be the bottom, and they're not. I know in Lebanon it's over 2,000. Yet again, we don't know what's happening in southern Lebanon, to where the Lebanese army is basically evacuated and it's just turned into guerrilla warfare. There's 800,000 Lebanese south of the Litani River where the fighting's happening. We don't know. There's towns and villages blown up, just destroyed. And I pray and I assume they evacuated, but the Israeli army, they're not reporting deaths. They're not reporting if they walk across and there's a Lebanese family that they killed. They don't report that. All the numbers we know is confirmed by the Lebanese government. So it's going to be higher. Same with the Iranians. How many times have we just bombed in Iran, like a random town out of the capital? Are they going to report the death? Probably not. If we bomb a random house, are they going to report the death nowadays? The government is so decentralized in Iran right now. Every province is kind of working on its own. We don't really know the tally. We just have to assume. And we have no idea. And we just don't. We're not keeping count. They're struggling to keep count because it's so much, but it's thousands. It's been 1 month of war, and it's 4,000. We're approaching 5,000 total out of everybody. And just to compare how bloody this one has been, Russia, Ukraine, civilian death is, I think we're at 16,000, should be 16,100 now, because it's about, I think, 3 civilians every week die, which is tragic in Ukraine and Russia. And it's typically people that either didn't go into a shelter or they're still at the front lines. I know that's a big problem there. The Ukrainian government, they don't do evacuations. They don't help you. You have to leave on your own. That's strange. So you have to leave on your own there. The government leaves you out to dry because they want the numbers to be high. The Ukrainian government, now we're getting deep in the hole. The Ukrainian government wants the death numbers of civilians to be as high as possible. And the Russians know that, so they have to be real slow and careful. But the Israeli government, they don't care. They just don't care. If you're evacuated, if you're not evacuated, they're going to drop the bomb. And just like in Beirut, in Dakhir, in the Shiite area of Beirut, southern Beirut, they just level blocks. They level entire complexes. And they don't care. They give out a warning they give you about 10 minutes to evacuate. That's why most of these deaths are like families. They're asleep. What is it right now in Beirut? It is, 12:45 a.m. in the morning? No, it's at 1:35 a.m. Who's awake? What if you're not awake? What if you're not in, the Israeli government they're not tapping your phone. What if you're not in the WhatsApp channel? Or what if you're not checking where they post it on X? They post the evacuation orders on X. What if you just don't look at it? What if you're asleep with your family and your children? Or what if it's an old woman, a grandmother, your grandparents? They're asleep. Can they get down a flight of stairs with everybody else rushing out of the building? That's why these deaths are tragic. They're not military-aged male they're killing. It's elderly, it's families, it's children at home by themselves. What if you have a child at home? There's nobody there. It's an apartment complex. It's not a military headquarters. You assume, okay, they're fine. Let's go out to eat with the family and, hey, babysit your brother. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't know to check the Israeli account, the spokesperson. It's just insane, the stuff that goes on. They just don't care. We saw it in Gaza for years. And the European countries are waking up. We see countries, Spain, France taking a big step in Spain. Spain, France, Italy. The UK is a little more cautious, but they're fully condemning this stuff. They're at the point now where France and Israel just terminated defense agreements. That's a great thing. And I give Europe a lot of hell, and I still think that they're doomed as a continent. But even when they are waking up, it's a momentum ball to where if the U.S. is isolated, we're going to have to pick between the world or Israel. That's what our options is going to be. Is are we going to trade with the world? Sooner or later, these sanctions, we're going to get sanctioned.
Yeah.
Israel's going to get sanctioned.
Yeah.
Are we willing to just bite that? Or are we willing to bite that? And somebody like Trump would, but we're going to hit a point in the U.S. especially. A lot of foreigners in the Middle East and over in Europe, I get questioned. It's like, how do you guys still support this? Well, we don't have a choice. We were lied to. We don't have a choice what to support with Trump. You know, the election, it was either Kamala Harris who was giving bombs with Biden and Harris. They were giving bombs to Israel to bomb Gaza. Or Trump, who said, no new wars, we're going to stop it. Who are you going to vote for? We voted for Trump because it's like, well, it's either Kamala Harris, who's already helping the genocide, or Trump, who says he won't. Like, yeah, we were lied to. We were duped. But that's the reason he's president today, is because he lied, he tricked us, he duped us. And we probably should have seen it with Shabbos Kestenbaum speaking at the RNC about suing Harvard for anti-Semitism. We probably should have seen it with that, but
well, most of us are dreamers of 2016. We look back to 2016 Trump and we think, man, this was the guy. You know, that day he come down the escalator and he's talking about, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this country actually great again. We're not going to go fight these wars. We're not. And he was the anti-establishment candidate. This is something I have to hammer into people. The establishment did not want him to be the candidate, but the grassroots motivation come in and powered him up to be the candidate for the Republican Party and eventually the president. Now, what we saw in 2020 was, which I think was a stolen election, I truly do. But after that, he goes, oh, crap. And I think he had a moment where he says, I do want to be president because I care about this country, but I think he sold himself out. You know, Miriam Adelson gave him $230 million. That's not a small sum of money, and it doesn't just happen to fall into your pocket. Things have to happen in order to do that. And I think that although Trump is, you know, a very smart man, I don't necessarily think that he had the forethought for some of this stuff, and I think that he is cornered in a lot of ways. But I mean, you see the partial releases of these Epstein files and what's potentially in them, and I go, I don't know if he was ever that good. You know, it makes you wonder if this was some sort of Trojan horse incident, if this, you know, snuck underneath our nose. I don't know. But I do know that the policies that we voted for in 2016 and that had a massive support, pretty much everybody would still support in 2028 if somebody actually ran on that ticket. But I don't know if it's going to happen because we've fallen so far from that point in the period, that timing, I guess. And, you know, I think the question that we're all looking at right now and thinking about is there any outlook where this is looking like the Iran war could end soon? Me personally, I haven't seen any true evidence of actual negotiating going on because I feel like Iran has been pretty steadfast and, hey, look, here's what we want. We will stop doing, you know, bombing and fighting if you allow us to, you know, have our enriched plutonium or whatever. You know, you allow us to pretty much just be off on our own and you stop interfering with us. Stop bombing us. Stop bombing our friends when it comes to, you know, in Palestine and things like that. And it's not, to me, that crazy of terms. It's like, hey, stop being the instigator. If you stop instigating, we'll stop retaliating. But it's just a refusal to do so. And so there's, you know, talks of peace. I believe it was today or yesterday Trump was talking about he wants to see this come to an end. You know, this has been an ultimate failure on his part. The only way that we won this war was if it lasted less than 2.5, 3 weeks, in my opinion. And what are we at now? 4 already? I mean, we're just blowing through money. Gas cost a fortune. Nobody's happy. This is the most unpopular war in history, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he understands it. He's going, oh, shoot. But my fear is that we're going to see a massive ascension of J.D. Vance, that he's going to be the person to usher in this peace treaty whenever it comes, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's in 2 months, and that people are going to say, well, look at J.D. Vance. He's our no new wars. He ushered in the peace treaty. He did what had to be done to get this war done, and that way they can push him forward to being the presidential candidate like they want in 28. That's my big fear because I am as far against Vance as you can possibly be at being a conservative. You know, I think that he represents the potentially most pro-Israel lobby we will ever see with his, you know, essential daddies and Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and who's funded him to get to where he's at.
I don't think that we're going to see much at all that we like when it comes to JD Vance. I think he's a real wolf in sheep's clothing. That being said, Marco Rubio is no better. I mean, Marco Rubio is just blatantly pro-Israel. I mean, he was, just a few months ago, he was in there wearing the goofy hat at the wall, and I think he was standing like locked in arms with everybody. Like these
He's
candidates.
Worse. Rubio's worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-win situation, and that's what's so stressful. The one thing I don't mind about Rubio is at least we know what we're getting. That's what I'll say about Rubio. At least I know what he is. JD Vance, I don't know how deep it runs, but my fear is that his presidential nomination would turn us into a surveillance state, a Palantir surveillance state, potentially even drones across the major cities saying, flying around looking for anti-Semitism. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look right there. Rabbi Shmuley's down there.
The goy bean is going to be real.
Yeah.
We're going to get goy bean. We're going to get slimed out. We're going to have, it's going to be like the memes, me after bro says something anti-Israel. Like the Palantir drone comes through the window. The thing with Rubio is, I think Rubio, I don't think he's compromised. I don't think he's got a lot of these weird big donors or anything. I just think he's your old-fashioned war hawk neocon. He was all about war in Venezuela. He's all about war in Iran. It's just, and he doesn't even give you like any justification for it. He just said Maduro, like when the Maduro stuff happened, he was the head guy. He was saying stuff like, if you didn't know now, like it's just the most George Bush 2.0 stuff ever. I think he's genuine. I know that he is a practicing Christian. I give him credit for that. But he is so diehard Israel. And the way he just says things, his vocabulary, designated terrorist organizations, the drug cartels, Maduro he has an arrest warrant out. Like, we're not stupid, dude. Just tell us you want to have him for the oil. Trump will at least tell you, we're going to go to Venezuela, we're going to take the oil. We're going to take Karg Island, we're going to take Iran's oil. He's at least telling you what we're doing. Marco Rubio gave us this old school Republican BS of, we executed an arrest warrant with the Department of Homeland Security on Maduro, and now it's the state sponsor of terrorism in Iran. Like, Trump never says that. Trump will tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take the oil. We're going to bomb Iran. Maybe we will invade. Maybe we won't. He plays his little games, but
he's cocky enough to say it at least.
Tiptoeing a strange line. Yes. Rubio tries to be more professional and that old school vagueness, the definition, the vocabulary. He really strikes it home with, it's a designated terrorist organization, the IRGC terrorist navy, illegitimate. That was his biggest word, illegitimate presidents and all of that. But Vance, everybody knows the Palantir stuff going on with him. He's funded, pushed by that weird Israeli AI psyop stuff that's controlling everything at this point. Probably watching this stream.
They're not even on the stream. They're in the cameras, dude. I mean,
100%, 100%. When we lag, it's just them tuning in. It's just all this is at this point. But Vance tiptoes it very strange. He's been very, like you pointed out, he's been very in the back of this. Maybe he swoops in and gets the peace deal. There was a news piece the other day that Iran said they don't want to talk to anybody else except JD Vance. That was a few days ago. That came out. I don't know if I really believe that, because
I'm sure that came straight from
American
Iran.
Sources. Yeah, the Iranians are saying we're not talking, there's no negotiations, and the American news goes, well, actually, they are talking, but it's only to J.D. Vance, and it's only about a peace deal. It's like they're breeding us to have this idea that Vance is going to fix it, Vance is going to solve it, Vance is calm to where there was another piece about a week ago. I kind of bought into this, I'll be honest. I read it, and I thought, for a second, I sent it to my father, and I said, I like this. It was just the most obvious psyop. It was where Vance had a phone call, an alleged phone call with Netanyahu the other week, where it said he ripped into him, that Netanyahu didn't understand how the war was going to go, and that Vance said that the decapitation strike would never work, and that all we've done is get into a worse situation. And I don't know, I read it, and I had some hope, like maybe Vance knows what he's talking about, and I kind of sat back, and I said, this is just not real. Like the media, this is just not real. This is a fake article. Along with 2 days later, there was the new article about the Iranians only want to negotiate with J.D. Vance because he hasn't wronged them. It's just, Vance is a psyop that's being bred. And the Republican Party, because we get to vote in the primaries, but at the end of the day, the party's going to push who they want. They're going to put on TV who they want. They're going to, at the Republican primary, at the debate stage at the Republican Party, in the middle of the debate stage, who like Trump was, like Biden was with the DNC in 2020. Whoever they put in the middle is who they want you to see. It's who they want the screen time to be, and it's going to be J.D. Vance. It's going to be Vance in the middle, probably Rubio to the side. They're going to pour Vance. He's going to be in the middle, so it's good optics. People see it, and they go, well, he's the vice president. He's in the middle. He's soft-spoken. He lost a little bit of weight. He grew a beard. Look how great this guy is.
That's an American.
Yeah, exactly. American from Ohio. He wears jeans. He's real. Oh my gosh, he's so ugly. He's, now I'm getting real weird with it, but he is just so ugly.
Well, dude, I look back at these 2016 videos of him. Both of these guys, Marco and JD, massive anti-Trumpers in 2016. That tells us all we need to know. And you look back at him, dude. I'm thinking, oh my God. I'm like, this is the same guy. I'm like, this is a rough look. I mean, he was, Nick Fuentes puts a lot of insults his way, mostly about him being fat. And I look back, I'm like, ooh, that was a bad look for you, JD. And there's the whole thing. I mean, with naming your kid Vivek, it's like to me that's just weird. I'm like, come on, man. Like, if you're wanting to, claim that you're going to establish the American, whatever, at least try to show that you're a part of this, this culture. But his entire book, the Hillbilly Elegy, was essentially.
Yes.
It was basically him saying, I hate everything about this, and I want to go as far away from it as you can. That's why he went and married an Indian woman. He's like, I hate everything about white people, basically. I need to find something different. And that's more or less what it ends up being about, and that's exactly what he did. And that's just not something that me personally that I'm going to support. Let alone his backgrounds with Alex Cart, Peter Thiel, Palantir, AI surveillance systems, relationships with Israel, all of these things. I really can't get behind them. And coming from you have a lot of good sources and such. Do you see an end to this war anytime soon? Do you see any actual negotiations going on? Because I haven't seen anything that made me think that it was actually being done.
We are at a point of either it's going to escalate very badly in the next few days. We're either going to get an extreme escalation or we're going to get a de-escalation. Because we're at the status quo to where we're 4 weeks in and both sides are throwing missiles every day. They're throwing rockets every day, throwing drones every day. You can only do that for so long before we're kind of in a stalemate. The Strait of Hormuz is shut. Nobody said they're going to help. Nobody's coming to help. It's going to stay shut. Missiles fly to Tel Aviv. Bombs drop over Tehran. American bases get hit. Iraq gets hit. Lebanon gets hit. It's been like this for 4 weeks. So that's why these new reports that Trump wants to invade, he wants to take an island, he wants to strike a deal, they're going to have to make a decision. And the decision is Trump's. It's not Iran. Iran's already made their stuff clear. They said, if you want to make a deal, we'll make a deal and we'll stop. If you want to keep fighting, we're going to keep fighting. This is all in the United States. What does Trump want to do? Does he want to make a deal and go home the way it is right now? Can his ego take that? Will the Israelis accept that? Or is he going to, which is absurd, that if you would have asked any Trump supporter 8 months ago and said, do you support invading Iran? Everybody would have said no. But now there's some brainwashing stuff going on in the American media to tell everyone it's okay. It's a small invasion. We're just taking one island. Because he wants to take the island. This is what he's going to do. He wants to take that tiny island that doesn't matter. It's nothing. It's such a small island. He wants to take the island with the Marines, with a big propaganda victory, and then he'll negotiate. He wants to take it and then claim that Iran is ready to come to the table because we've taken an island. When in reality, the Iranians will then have two options. The Iranians can go, congrats, you've taken the island. Are you actually ready to negotiate now? Or the Iranians fly 500 drones and massacre the Americans, in which at that point, Trump would be forced to a full-scale invasion. You can't take an island and have 2,000 Marines get killed and just walk away. He can't do that. The Israelis won't let him. His ego won't let him because it's not going to happen. So it's basically a escalation ladder. We want to boots on the ground. Will the Iranians shoot back? Assuming that we don't fully invade. That would be full-scale war. It's an escalation ladder. That's all this is. We took out the Supreme Leader. The Iranians responded. We kept bombing them afterwards. They shut the Strait of Hormuz. What now? We can go home. Everybody can go home. The Iranians can have a deal. Sanctions can be lifted. They can go home and have peace. America, we can go home. Doesn't affect us either way, so we just go home. But the Israelis are going to be the ones that's pissed off because they can't bomb Lebanon anymore. Because the Iranians have said a ceasefire is a full region ceasefire. They're clear with that. So it's an escalation ladder. It's in America's. The ball is in America's court. They shut the Strait of Hormuz. The missiles fly every day. What is Trump going to do? How is he going to reopen it? Does he want to reopen it? Is he willing to boots on the ground to reopen it? Does he want to go diplomatically to reopen it? That's where we're at now. And if you're the Iranians, why would you reopen the strait through negotiations? You want to force Trump to invade. You want that to happen. Because as you hold the Strait of Hormuz, you're able to claim a victory. You're able to claim that we have won. We hold the upper hand. And Iran can come out of this better than where they were before. They hold the Strait of Hormuz. The Gulf states are terrified. They're getting millions of dollars a day through ships passing. That's what they want to happen. Can Trump allow that to happen? I don't know. If he doesn't want that to happen, assuming the Iranians don't just give that up in negotiations for fun, right? Also, if we wouldn't have bombed them twice in the middle of negotiations, maybe they'd be more willing to trust our word. They don't anymore. So are we supposed to go, hey, Iran, reopen the Strait of Hormuz and we pinky promise we're not going to come back and bomb you 6 months later? No, they're going to say we're not going to let that happen. And Trump's going to have to make a very serious escalation if he wants to see it open. And what if that doesn't work? What then? Like, it's the escalation would get worse the more we fail. The more we fail, the worse it's going to get. The more we succeed, I don't want to say the better it could get, but if we go and take Horg Island and the Iranians don't fire back, we could just have a trade-off. We leave, we give back Horg Island all their oil, and they reopen the strait. We have a simple trade. But if we invade Horg Island, the Iranians, they can fire back and put us in an even worse spot. I don't know. It's a big game of chicken. That's what this is. It's a game of chicken.
No,
and I kind of went through every scenario, assuming that we don't paradrop into the nuclear facilities, which is all it takes is one chopper to get shot down, and the whole operation fails.
Yeah, true. I don't see that being the operation that ends up happening. And, I am curious. You've made quite a name for yourself here of recent with some coordinate systems and such. How's that been going for you? You still enjoying doing that?
I actually posted something today, but I found one of Netanyahu's like private residences by the residence by the beach. I posted those coordinates, but I've calmed down the military coordinates. The exposure was fun, but it gets to a point where I was like, okay, somebody posted me, Cat Turd posted me. It was like 4 million views calling me for treason, and I was like, all publicity is good publicity, but maybe not like that. Maybe not like that. And they were, assuming that they were like a military. They thought they were like American bases. Like, these people are just idiots.
Well, also, it's like
base.
This is fully public information. Like, it's like anybody can go online and find exactly what you found. It's not like you're revealing classified documents. It's like, no, this is just what you found. And you got people like, you had the entire $7,000 club coming after you the other day, and to me, it seemed like almost led by Cat Turd in a lot of ways, whose entire platform it smells like a cat turd. I mean, honestly, it's one of the stupidest accounts I've ever seen. And, it's, how do these people even get away with some of the stuff that they post? It's like they're calling you out for treason. I have another good friend of mine. His name's Evan Kilgore. And they were calling for him to be murdered. They said that he was the ICE agent up in Minneapolis. And all these people started coming after him. And he's like, I'm not an ICE agent. He's like, he's just a chill dude that's like post just conservative content. Like, he wasn't even that outspoken about the ICE thing. But yet somebody ran with it and said, hey, look, this is the ICE agent. This is, the guy who killed Alex Preddy. And, it became serious for him. His life, he goes, oh, crap. Like, I might, have to really pursue some safety right now. And that's what I was worried about with you there for a little bit. I'm like, oh, crap, I hope this really don't get out of hand. You start getting the wrong people calling you for treason. It's like, there's no telling what their followers will do. That's the scary part.
The problem was I was really worried because, like, the Trump administration, all those bozos are all online. And I remember I was just like, I'm going to lose my mind if I see like Kash Patel quote tweet this. That's what I was thinking. Like, if I see like, because they're online. This administration, like Dan Bongino was like the deputy FBI director, and he was on Twitter like roasting people, like not roasting. He was on Twitter raging and all of that stuff because
Still
this
is.
administration is just unserious. Yes, still is. They're so unserious. So that was my biggest worry. I was like, if there's any administration to where they would actually care about something like this, it would be like Kash Patel, who would see it. And because he has a personal account, he would see it and comment, and I'd just be like on it. And I'm just like, they didn't see it. Maybe they did. You know, maybe they scrolled past it and was just like, this is stupid. But I had that worry. I was looking out my window that week that went down. I was looking out my window hard. I had my window open in the front. I was, and every car that went by, I did kind of stop every time, and I was like, this might not be good. But it's calmed down now.
You're just waiting to see that at Spider Cash has quote tweeted you, and
oh my gosh,
that whole thing was
I
wild
was
with
just
his
waiting.
leak.
Spider Cash, that oh my gosh, that he had that account on the website. Number one, I'm gonna say something so real that every male should be able to relate to this at least once in their life. If you've ever been on one of those websites, you don't make an account, number one. Why did he make an account? Like, in a adult video website, he made an account, and he made an account with the email that he continued using while he was the FBI director. Like, dude, at least use a burner. At least don't use cashpatel@gmail.com and then Spider Cash is your adult film website username. Oh, it's just unserious. This whole administration. I always had this belief that the government, like, when I was a child growing up, I was like, these governments, they're all above us. They have these secret, well, they do, but like, that they're all so much smarter than us, that they're geniuses, that they're controlling us, they're watching us. And then you look at it and it's like, yeah, our FBI director is on adult film websites using his email address that just got hacked with the nickname Spider Cash. Like, these are people. These are real people, and they're idiots, and they're incompetent. And as much as the first Trump administration was filled with like like John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, people that are just neocons, but, you know, Bush Republicans, they were at least professional. It's this administration. He just chose a bunch of yes men. Pete Hegseth, he's a Fox News host. Have you seen that video where he's talking about the military? We're not going to fight to not lose. We're going to fight to win. Maximum lethality matched with, like, he was just rhyming stuff. It was like a freestyle rap in the Oval Office, and it's just like, this is the guy who we're entrusting these people with the Epstein files, with the military, with Scott Bessent, who wears a pound of makeup, with all of our economy. Howard Lutnick was on Epstein's island trafficking children. He's Jewish, and he's our commerce secretary. We have Kelly Loeffler, who's a failed politician. She lost her elections, and now she's like the agricultural minister. It's just the worst. Kristi Noem is our DHS secretary. The worst administration of all time. And then her husband today, did you see what happened to him? Kristi Noem's husband, he was outed as a cross-dresser.
Oh, God.
Real
it's
report.
Never ending.
People can go look at this. It's never ending in this freaking administration. Just the absolute, you know, as much as I was not a Joe Biden fan, I will give it credit that it was at least structured. That we didn't have this crap going on. Like, Anthony Blinken is a Secretary of State. I thought he was an idiot, but at least they acted like they were in the government and not playing government. We at least had Lloyd Austin, who was like a 4-star general, as commanding our military. Now we got Pete Hegseth. It's like, dude, what was he, a private?
Maybe.
JD Vance is probably more qualified.
That's saying something,
yeah,
dude.
Like, dude, tattoos. You're gonna.
Hey, that's how you win wars. I mean, tattoos. You write infidel in Arabic. Is that what it is?
But he works out with the military. He does workout videos. He does push-ups with the military.
It's true.
So whenever we're fighting in Iran against 2 million Iranians that are literally wanting to die with martyrdom. Like they're willing to die to fight us. 2,000 Marines. Guys, our Secretary of War, he did push-ups with us and posted it on Twitter. We're going to win. He has a cool tattoo. Just remember that. They're so stupid.
That's
can't
this
do it
administration.
anymore.
That's what we're stuck with ultimately.
Yes.
You know what? I've admitted it. I voted for Trump this past administration, like you said. I mean, what else were we supposed to vote for? I mean, Kamala wasn't even an option. I mean, that's just off the table. And what I've always said is, I have a line that I'll draw, and I'll team up with people as long as you don't cross that line. And my personal line as a Christian nationalist is, if you are, supporting transgenders or supporting abortion, I cannot side with you, and I won't side with you. I cannot morally do this. But outside of that, if you're like, hey, you know what? Maybe you're a common sense liberal in a sense, and you want some of these other policies, I'll talk to you. You know, let's get together if we can agree on what's going on, have a serious administration, agree on what's going on in Israel, and let's fix some issues here. And I'm not one to love government spending at all, but I would much rather spend the money we've spent here stateside than shipping it to Israel, shipping it to all of these weapons going to bomb Iran for no reason. It's like, I mean, how much could, $30 billion have done for our nation right now? There's a whole lot of stuff that we could have put in. You talk about high-speed rail systems. You want to talk about healthcare. You want to talk about building a wall. You want to talk about all these things that could have been done.
Let's be real about the high-speed rail. We don't need a high-speed rail.
Oh, we don't, but a lot of people want it, and let's
work on education and healthcare and literacy rates, and we shouldn't have we just shouldn't have homelessness. I look at homelessness in two categories. Building apartments and just slapping homeless people in LA. I'm under the impression on that of homeless drug addicts are going to exist no matter what. And would I rather have the homeless drug addicts on the street or in a shitty apartment that you can build for maybe $1 million, and you put that apartment somewhere awful, I don't know, build an apartment complex for the homelessness of Atlanta, and then just go throw it in Appling or something. I don't know. Get it out of these cities. Yeah. Instead of the homeless in LA, I don't know, transport them to San Francisco. I don't know. There's so much.
Sacrifice San Francisco. It's already too far gone.
We have to sacrifice cities. We have to make ideas.
Sanctuary cities.
I'm ready. Yes, I am ready. We need the most advanced sanctuary cities. We have to designate cities in each state. One city just has to just die.
It just so happens it's always blue. Every single time, it is the bluest of blue cities.
We're not changing demographics. It's look, Atlanta's going to be a blue city. We're helping you. We're adding votes. We're helping you guys.
You wanted it to be blue. Here you go.
Exactly. We can in Tennessee, throw them in Memphis, in North Carolina. I think it's gonna have to be Charlotte, Mississippi. I think that whole state, to be honest. I don't think you can cover Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi,
Jackson.
That sanctuary state, it's off on its
let's
own.
just do it. Let's just sacrifice an entire state. All of the tax dollars we give to Israel, we take the $6 billion and we vote on one state to where we take all the homelessness, the drug addicts, the illegal immigrants, whoever, and we put them in that state and we say, you are now our Israel. You are Israel. This is Israel. You get $6 billion a year, Mississippi. And
I'm all for it. They have to grow the little curls, though. That's the one stipulation.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
If they grow the curls, you're good. You can have the money. You can have the housing. You can have, the food, whatever you need. It's going to be a crap hole. Let the drug addicts go there. I mean, let's be honest. Eventually, probably STDs and such would probably wipe it out until you repopulate it with the next bad decision-making group of people. But I mean, that's one of our major problems in the United States. And this is what I look at people and I tell people, obviously we're somewhat joking when it comes to that, but people just make dumb decisions. And a lot of it comes from needing a small dopamine release, which is sad that our economy and such has fallen in this sense where people are so desperate for a dopamine release that they'll turn to a drug. They'd rather be homeless and have the dopamine release of a drug that they're having to steal for or whatever that's ruining their life than to go work and have nothing. And I do feel for people in that sense because we're at the point now where it's next to impossible for most people to buy a home. The American dream was you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, you're going to buy a home, you're going to be happy, you're going to grow a family, you're going to have neighbors, it's going to be beautiful. that's ruined. I mean, it's like 90% of couples now when they get married, there's like no shot of buying a home. It doesn't happen before you're 30 nearly at all. I mean, we've been blessed. We've been able to buy a home, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. But there's a lot of people who don't ever really get that opportunity. It's very tough, and a lot of that has to come back through what has the government done. We've allowed companies like BlackRock to come in, major investment groups, buy up homes, turn them into rental properties. Taking it from the single family and buying it. They might buy it $10,000 above asking price because they don't care. They know they're going to make money on it. They're buying it in cash. They're not paying interest on it. Meanwhile, the Americans, we're paying ridiculous amounts of interest. We pay for the home 3 times over before the time it's said and done. And that's why I look back, throughout history. I look at usury programs. I look back in the 30s and such. I think about programs such as when you're married, we're going to give you a loan for a home at 0% interest, and you don't have to pay back 25% of it for every kid you have. If you have 4 kids, we'll pay for your home. I wouldn't mind a program like that. It would cost a lot, but if you cut spending when it comes to things like a ridiculous federal education system, you cut spending when it comes to things like Israel, you cut spending when it comes to things like what we're doing in Iran, all of a sudden there's a lot of funds available to where you could do things like this, and you can actually try to set hard ceilings on the market so that they don't go berserk. I mean, that's very important. When the government starts buying things for people in any sense, what you see, just like college tuition, it's going to go through the roof because companies say, wait a second, the government's paying for it? College tuition's now $40,000, because we know we're going to get our money. That's their thought process. You set limits on it. You set ceilings on it. Let's actually try to help the American people. That whenever I think of America first, I think first off, let's cut off Israel. That's kind of the big idea behind it. But then you come back to ideas like this, and it's like, okay, we need to actually help the Americans first. And how do we help them? Let's let them buy a home. Let's not get them under crazy interest rates so they can never actually recover. And let's teach them common sense financial. Honestly, let's teach them how to budget a little bit. I see so many people. They turn 19, they go get their first job. They're like working, at some industry, industrial complex. They're making, $19 an hour. They feel like, they're still living at home. They think they're rich. They go buy a freaking sports car. And it's like, okay, you have $1,000 a month car payment now that you're stuck with all the way into your adult life now. You're stuck with this payment. And then, that's part of the reason why they can't buy a home. It's like, well, you just have terrible debt. That was an awful decision. Should you be able to go buy a car? Yes. Maybe start with a used car. Maybe start with, a Honda Accord or something. Don't start with a $60,000 sports car. But that's just a common sense financial that a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand how to leverage debt. They don't understand good debt, bad debt. These are things I would be okay with us investing in teaching the children and teenagers in high schools and such like that. Because I don't know if it was like that for you. I was in public school. We didn't learn about that. That was not. No. That was never anything. How to do your taxes, how to, actually understand finances on a deep level, not a real basic level, 1-day class, type thing. I wish that's where our money would go towards.
Yeah, anything besides Israel. I want to bring a quick update to everybody. If you've been seeing me struggle, oh my God, if you've been seeing me struggle to type in the Telegram, there was a massive Israeli strike in Beirut. I don't want to say this because I don't want to be wrong, but I think they were targeting the Iranian ambassador in Lebanon because there were 5 black SUVs. It was multiple missiles, and there's 5+ dead. So I just want to throw that out there for everybody watching and has been watching me try to pay attention to Jared and talk and just totally mistype everything in the Telegram a moment ago, because I typed something in earlier and I was like major Israeli assassination and people were like putting like the fire emoji and I was like, no, it's not good. It's not a W. But with what multiple dead, so everybody just keep, holy crap, that's not ideal. Anyways, but what back on the topic before jumped off with that. But yes, a lot of people, we had a career center with mechanics, mechanic stuff, computer engineering, kind of basic stuff in high school. But the majority of the population in America has a very low IQ, a very low literacy rate, like beyond comprehensive reading. Only the richest people can really go to college here. We have a system that is really set up for, it's who you know. We have that old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that goes through college, that goes through jobs, because quite literally, it doesn't matter what we know here because they're not teaching us that. And I think we're getting a lot of incompetent people in incompetent roles. There's no more innovation coming out of America. There's no more creation coming out of America. No one's creating jobs. It's overseas. The people are making money in China, in South Korea, in Japan, in the Middle East, booming over there in Dubai, because our system is set up in a way of you fall into line without really having any idea to think for yourself or having any bigger knowledge of the world. We live in a bubble politically. They want to simplify our life, and then they get confused why the economy sucks, because no one has a drive. No one's being taught how to do anything in schools. No one's being taught how to excel at the skills they're taught. You're molded into this mindset of accept authority, don't question the media, don't question the news. I pledge allegiance to the flag. You watch movies like Red Dawn of North Korea and China and Russia invading the United States, and it really dives into this ideology of American exceptionalism whenever we are not exceptional right now at all. There's no American dream. There's no white picket fence, a dog, a wife, and 2 kids. It's not sustainable. It's not possible. Inflation's rising. Prices are rising. Trump just said he doesn't care about getting houses pricing down. He wants housing prices to go up because him and his boomer friends and BlackRock and all these companies can make more money. We've been flipped on our head. I'm not a communist, but our capitalist system has been flipped in a very bad way, to where the bottom people of society, the bottom 99%, which is me, which is you, which is everybody watching this, which is to our family and everybody we know, we are scraping along the barrel while the billions are being flooded to other countries. They're printing money like it's nothing so they can buy military equipment. Our military budget is going up. It's going up. We need healthcare fixes. We need drug addiction fixes. We need education fixes. We need our schools to get better. We need simple things like our roads to get better. Airplanes to look nicer. Airport. How are we having TSA security problems at the airport? I don't care if the DHS is unfunded. I really don't care. That should be something that doesn't matter how many workers you have. That is a federal airport system with TSA that should be set up to be able to handle stuff like that. What if we have a mass event here and airports get packed up? It's never going to work. And our government is so fixated on temporary success. They say long-term, short-term pain for long-term gain. We've been in a state of short-term pain since probably the 80s. Of the 90s is whenever we kind of started militarizing. When the Cold War ended, we started militarizing. We invaded Iraq in 2003, bombed Libya in 2011. We had the Afghanistan disaster, occupied them for 20 years, and now it's back in Iran. It's a never-ending war cycle. And it all goes back to the clean break memo of the 90s, which is the Israelis basically saying, we're going to use America to set a new Middle East. They're not going to do it. Israel didn't invade Iraq. Israel didn't attack Libya. Israel didn't overthrow Syria. Through America. Israel didn't overthrow. Afghanistan's a little different. I don't like lumping in Afghanistan, to be honest. But they destabilized Yemen on purpose. They destabilized Somalia. Somalia. Somalia's never going to work. But a lot of these countries, like Yemen, like Libya, like Syria, Lebanon had a revolution. Iraq, in Iran. It is a Israeli policy to use the Americans and then to do whatever they want. And the American government follows this full-heartedly. They don't care about the Americans here. They don't care about how we live our lives. Everything is revolving around, we have to make sure the military is strong enough and our foreign policy is correct enough to where we can benefit the Israelis, and we're living through it right now. I did a whole lot of talking and probably a lot of nothingness there, but it's been a long day at the Ethan household. If there's anything you want to add, because I'm about to have to wrap this up. I think, dude, it was a bad strike.
Yeah, no, I know you got things to get done. I do too as well, man. And no, I appreciate you coming on and having a little conversation for a little bit. Obviously, we've been friends for a good while. I always enjoy talking to you about things. A lot of times I run my ideas by you. I know you're pretty well informed. I'm like, I wonder what's going on. What's Ethan think about this? So I always enjoy talking to you, man. And for those of you from my channels who don't know Ethan, this is Ethan Levins. He's on pretty much everything under Ethan Levins pretty much now, right? Instagram, Facebook,
X, Ethan Levins 2. That's his second account.
Yes. And here's what we'll do next time we go. We collab, which we'll do it. We'll do it pretty soon. Maybe next week. Maybe the week after. I keep hitting my freaking computer. By the way, everybody watching this, or if you're watching it after, technology's not our friends. It was really if you're watching on my YouTube, I'll just say it was amazing that this worked. And on Jared's, we spent about 15, 20 minutes trying to figure this out. But the next time we do this, I'll be streaming everywhere on all platforms. I don't think we could have figured that out this time. And we'll have you stream everywhere, including your X. You'd be surprised how many people tune in on X. So next time we do this, we're going to get this out like 10 different platforms. This was like a test run. It's chaotic. It's late. It's middle of wartime. So everything's absolutely.
And we talk on this. We're good at talking. We're not good at freaking setting up the computer. This is the hard part, honestly.
I know. We just ramble. We do like 10-minute tangents each. We just roll.
Most of my content comes from right here, and so I just put it up somewhere and click record. You know, when you're trying to start streaming everywhere, maybe people don't see that side of it, dude. I got like, I have the camera here. I have lights everywhere, trying to get the lighting correct and doing the right things in here. A microphone set up that's probably delayed. It's a lot going into it. So
this stuff is crap. I have the portable charger that's keeping the lights on. It's at 12%. It's at 11%. My computer. I didn't have enough outlets to charge the computer. It's at 21%. We're not streamers. I like using my phone, and maybe one day we can finally get to working on streaming a little better. But
if this economy gets better, maybe we can afford to buy some new computers and some actual,
exactly.
maybe even a staff at some point we can hire. Man, that'd be pretty cool.
Staff would be pretty cool. Just set it up. So you just walk with a computer. You're ready to go, sir. Thank you.
That's the dream, man.
Yes, I'm gonna get like a strange Mexican child from Venezuela and just pay him in shekels or something. I don't know.
Hey, I've heard that these H-1Bs are taking like 70 cents on the dollar. You might be able to find one of them.
Dude.
They're tech guys, you know.
I'll buy another one of Trump's ideas. I'll buy the $5 million citizenship, and
that's it.
I'll invest into that and give it to him. That's so crazy. Buying citizenship. When he first came out with the Trump gold card, I kind of was like, that's funny. And I started thinking deeper, and I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. It's funny. The Trump gold card citizenship, $5 million, cool. Yeah, it's not cool whenever Chinese billionaires are the ones that are buying it to give it to their kids.
Yeah.
You're handing out citizenship to people that are just taking opportunity, because there's laws in America that protect American citizens over foreigners that are like making businesses, buying land, buying employees. I mean, what's to stop like a Chinese guy who's like a billionaire from just opening a business in America, buying 20 citizenships for 20 workers and just like not paying them? We're not.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. It's not set up, and it's another. This administration is just.
And whose allegiance do those people go through? If you're going to pay $5 million, say for your child to have an American citizenship, be a citizen, they're going to come here, and who does their allegiance lie with? It's not here in America. Their allegiance will be to China. It's the same thing we've saw with Somalian politicians, whereas their allegiance is to Somalia. It's the same thing we've saw with all of these different, fraud scandals. Same thing we see with dual citizenship with Israel. It's where does these people's allegiance lie? It's always to their home country. It's never to this country, which is what's caused a lot of these issues that we're facing. Whether that's coming from a Democrat point of view or an anti-Israel point of view, I think pretty much everyone can come to the conclusion a dual citizenship person here in America, they're probably, if this is their secondary citizenship status, they're not going to actually do what's best for here. They're going to do what's best for their families back home, for where they came from. And so I think that's a big issue. I agree with you. That's a forgotten Trump thing. There's been so many things in 2 years with him. It's wild that's almost forgotten about. It's his golden Trump card. Now we're getting Trump bucks with his signature on it. For 250 years, and I will
say that the Trump bucks are ridiculous. I will say, from the surface, the Trump, the Trump accounts with the kids, I think that's a decent idea. I think that one looked like a good idea. But then again, in 18 years, how's the economy going to react whenever a bunch of 18-year-olds have like $200,000?
True.
So like, I think that's just, we're hoping inflation doesn't happen, because if a bunch of 18-year-olds start walking around with like $100K from the Trump account, like, what are universities going to do? They're going to raise their tuition knowing that people can afford that now. Maybe. I don't know. I would have thought they thought it through, but then again, Trump and this whole administration, they're like 80 years old. I think they're not really thinking long term. It's just short term. It's just constant pain. It's just constant.
True.
It's never ending pain.
But if you are thinking long term and you're watching this, I'm Jared. I'm still in my 20s. This is Ethan. He's still in his 20s. We're long term guys. We're actually
we're doomed.
Looking down the road. We're trying to get this thing figured out. But man, Ethan, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everyone who's watching. Like I said, make sure you go follow Ethan everywhere. Definitely getting his Telegram. Like I said, I've been getting my alerts over here from Ethan. You know, he's constantly hitting the Telegram with breaking news, letting you know everything that's happening. Great content across all of his platforms. And for people coming from Ethan's side, I'm Jared Wright. If you haven't seen my stuff, I would love come check it out. See if you can give me a follow. And Ethan,
check out Jared's stuff, guys. Just type in his name, Jared Wright. I follow him on everything, so it should pop up pretty quickly. And we're going to collab again. We're going to stream it on everything, all of your accounts, all of my accounts, so we can reach a lot. Man, we can reach a good bit of people if we can figure it out that way, and we will. But this was impromptu. If everybody was lagging, I saw people saying my account was lagging a little bit on YouTube. Like, we're streaming on some pretty ancient hardware right now. So yeah, I thought we had a really good chat. We didn't really have a topic. We kind of just started rolling with whatever's going on. But hopefully this stuff.
Good.
And
for those of you worried about the bad quality and such, man, we don't make like any money doing this stuff.
That's for the love of the game. This is Tuesday night for the love of the game right now. Definitely streaming on YouTube. This account, this video probably make sure that we'll never get monetized because you say the word Jew. It's over. It's
over, man. I mean, this. People don't understand. They think I had somebody tell me that I make my living bashing people. I said I don't make any living doing that. I don't. It's like there's no money in this. Whenever you take the stances that we take, so any support is always appreciated across whatever thing, across subscriptions or whatever we have, because we do it like Ethan said. We're doing it for the love of the game, man. We're just here. We're just here because we enjoy it. So, but I hope everybody has a good night. Ethan, I hope you have a good night, man, and we'll have to stream again soon, like you said, across a lot of platforms.
Of course, had a great time. Hope everyone else had a great time. Follow Jared